Now, on Wednesday, the Chancellor will reveal the first steps towards reducing the biggest peacetime deficit in Britain's history. Rishi Sunak is expected to announce that tax increases will be phased in after the lockdown has been lifted and will focus on high earners and corporations. Well, joining me now is the economist at the Institute for Public Policy Research Centre for Economic Justice, Shreya Nanda, and the Chief Executive of Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses, Matthew Hall. Shreya, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Shreya, if I can start with you, what do you think we're going to see this Wednesday?
One of the policies that's been floated is a rise in corporation tax, isn't it? And that's something we've been calling for a long time, because we think that there are long-standing problems with our tax system that mean that wealthier people can sort of get away with paying less tax, and that means a heavier tax burden on everyone else. So that's something we welcome.
Matthew, to you, what do you want to see?
So for us, the opportunity is around innovation going forwards and how we continue to support innovation to get the economy going again, with small businesses like ourselves adapting into new business models such as online retailing.
Because you've done fairly well, haven't you, throughout all of this?
Yes, so we're a fourth generation cheesemaker based here in the heart of rural Lancashire. We're manufacturing hard, soft and blue cheese. Traditionally our marketplace has been the supermarkets. Products like Black Six Blue have been available there for many years, but the last 12 months has seen us pivot quite dramatically into the online retailing space and completely reimagine our proposition and really turbocharge our growth that way by creating 3 new platforms. So we've got Butler's Larder, which is a home delivery service. We've got the Butler's Cheese Store, and we've got a letterbox cheese offer, which is enabling us to get these artisan farmhouse products out to a completely new audience across a vast array of channels. And that's been quite exciting, quite challenging as well in terms of learning a completely new business model for us. But it's certainly something that we're seeing a demand for going forwards.
So when you hear that there will possibly be a tax rise coming down the road, how does that make you feel?
I think going forwards, business is all about being a force for good and a force for change. And for us as a farmhouse maker, we have been an integral part of the community all the time since 1932. So I think if corporation tax was to increase, it's something that we also would welcome. If we're doing well, we want to support the communities that we're operating in.
Okay, Shreya, back to you, and just talk us through this issue of raising taxes, because the debt now is over 2 trillion. So you have to raise money somehow. And your think tank have said that increasing corporation tax, capital gains tax, wealth tax and land value tax would actually have little impact on GDP growth.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't think that the government is massively constrained on borrowing right now, because we know that borrowing costs for the government are negative at the moment. But we do think that these changes would make the tax system fairer, and then combined with a big stimulus package that's needed, that would ensure a fair and a strong recovery. So at the moment, there are issues with taxes like inheritance tax, which mean that very few people actually pay inheritance tax. If you're wealthy, it's very easy to avoid. So we'd like to see those problems fixed so that we can go forward and have a strong and fair recovery.
So a lot of people looking at this as a dire situation. Do you look at it and see as an opportunity to level things out?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like we are in a dangerous situation right now. Our research shows that almost one third of businesses are at risk of failing if the government doesn't step up support to businesses, because they've had to go into debt during this crisis. But if the government takes the necessary action, takes the stimulus that we think is needed and fixes these problems with the tax system, we think that would be a good opportunity to get us on track for a proper recovery and not sort of the low growth levels that we've seen for the past 10 years.
Matthew, back to you. Did you get government support during all of this?
No, we didn't. We've been very fortunate. We've been able to continue to operate as normal. As I mentioned, we've largely traded in the supermarkets and moved into the online space over the last 12 months. I think one of the core things for us in terms of opportunities for growth going forward is that we don't see a difference in the consumer expectation between how they treat a multinational business and how they treat a farmhouse maker when it comes to buying and shopping online. And so to find some way of supporting that skills growth within the rural economy in order to help us find a new breed of person really to help us fuel that growth and the skill sets that we need in order to stay close to our raw material, which is milk made here in the fields of Lancashire.
What about this traineeship money? Do you think that could possibly help you develop that area?
Absolutely. It's one of the initiatives that we're looking at quite closely at the moment in terms of the apprenticeship schemes and how we can bring young people into a rural business like ourselves. One of the other core areas is obviously the infrastructure for people need to be able to drive to get to somewhere like ourselves based in the heart of rural Lancashire, and they need to be able to find bus links or transportation to get here, and there's got to be then the housing and the rest of the infrastructure to support that.
Shreya, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so we've also called for greater spending on apprenticeships, and the stimulus package that we've called for has things like business support and public investment in there. So yeah, I would agree with that. And then we've also seen new research out in the last few days showing that capital gains are highly concentrated in London and the southeast. So the reforms that we're recommending to capital gains tax would help with that aspect as well of redistributing wealth out to businesses in the rest of the country.
Let's talk about housing. What do you make of the 5% mortgages, the fact that they will be back on the cards?
I mean, yeah, that's just sort of kind of a repeat of the kind of housing policies that we've seen from the government over the last few years. And yeah, I think it doesn't really get at the root of the problem. We know that these policies increase house prices. We know that house prices need to come down to, allow more people to be able to afford housing. So we recommended reforms to property taxation to make housing more affordable and more accessible for young people. So we think that those are the kind of changes that are needed rather than more fueling more house price growth.
Okay, Shreya, Matthew, thank you so much. Matthew, a lot of cheese lovers here looking at those shelves behind you, licking their lips. Thank you so much, Matthew, Shreya. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.